Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Austin, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I'm so excited. Once again, I can't tell you how excited I am because just speaker after speaker, I just have such amazing talent on this year's podcast. And I want to be sure and encourage everyone to please go out and visit every single page and listen to every single podcast because there is so much good information. This is an opportunity you definitely do not want to miss. So please take advantage of this unique opportunity and connect with the people that is participating in this podcast. Just in case you didn't know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is to not only share business, profession, and industry information, but it's also for career seekers who are looking to get into this line of work. So with that, I would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors, which are a family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with many of our other business partners and sponsors who's helping to make this event a success. So today we have a really good, amazing speaker here that I just can't wait to talk to because not only is she a speaker, but she's also a professional tax and accounting professional, and she's an author. And I want to know more about business tax and her book and everything like that. So I'm just going to go right into it. I would like to introduce to the podcast Erica Booth. Erica Booth is the president and CEO of Erica Booth Tax and Accounting Services, LLC. She has more than a decade of experience specializing in finance and small business taxes. She has a bachelor's degree in accounting from Temple University. She also has an MBA in finance from Wilmington University, and she's currently attending the University of Denver to pursue a master's degree in taxation as well. And in addition to her education, she is also pursuing a license, an enrolled agent. And I kind of want to hear more about that. In addition to her educational endeavors, she is also the president and executive director of ABLE, which stands for Advancing Businesses for Longevity and Entrepreneurship, which is a nonprofit organization which focuses on educating individuals and business owners on the value of learning about taxes and business finance. And she is also an author of her new book, which is going to be, it's entitled A Tax Deduction Guide for Small Businesses. She written this book specifically for small businesses. So with this great introduction, I would like to welcome Erica to the podcast. Erica, welcome.
Thank you very much. It was so nice hearing you say all of that.
Everybody keeps saying that, but you know what? It's
It's
true.
so
You
nice.
Well, you're welcome. And you know what? My thing is, I like to always say on the podcast that I admire each and every one of you guys for doing such amazing work and to really come out and show people that you can achieve your dreams. And so I want to hear more about Erica Booth and let's talk about your education because those are a lot of degrees and I kind of want to start at the beginning as what is it inspiring you to pursue your first degree and your second, and what is it about finance that you find fascinating that you really like?
Okay, well, I would say first when it comes to attaining my first degree, I tell my parents all the time they didn't know I thought this way, but as you get older, you start sharing things that you I guess felt when you were younger. When I was younger, I didn't know that there was an option after high school other than college. So I always knew I had to go. And I've always enjoyed watching movies of women in top finance positions, just leading the way in their departments. I've always had the dream of working somewhere in corporate America in New York. That fell short because I ended up staying in Philadelphia and working in Delaware, but nonetheless, it was a passion of mine, and I enjoyed my time at Temple, attaining my bachelor's degree in accounting, and I decided that I wanted to, be well rounded in accounting and finance. So I decided to get a second degree, my master's in finance, and then when I realized I was completely crazy, I decided to go for a third degree in a master's in taxation, and that was more so because I figured out not too long after working, coming straight out of college, that I enjoyed taxes. I worked in the corporate tax department at DuPont for about 4 years, in addition to working various accounting and finance positions. And I just knew that I wanted to not only learn taxes for my own personal reasons for filing, but I wanted to help others with the preparation of their taxes because everyone always assumed because I was an accountant I'd prepare taxes, and that just wasn't true. And I definitely, wanted to step into a career that I enjoyed. So I believe after I had my second son, I kind of really wanted to just stay home with him. I didn't want to go back to work, and I think that kind of started the thoughts of, well, what if I was able to work from home and do taxes? And then that developed into, okay, I definitely want to start a business um, in preparing taxes for individuals. And then I said, yeah, I kind of want to go into working with small businesses because my clients that are small business owners, I felt like they needed the most help out of everyone because I don't want to say they were clueless, but they were. They were clueless about a lot of things, from financial statements to types of tax deductions that they could use on their return. And I didn't want them to walk away from the table knowing they left money on the table because they didn't
Mhm. Well, I can tell
prioritize
you,
their
I'm gonna tell
bookkeeping.
you right now, I'm clueless, Erica. Okay, I'm clueless.
Okay.
I'm one of the clueless people.
Add
Okay,
to the list. I'll
so
just add you to the list.
yeah, but I say that jokingly because a lot of us really don't have the full breadth and scope of what it means to have a tax accountant. I know that when I started my business in 2015, just making it an LLC, I knew that there were going to be tax implications. And so
Yep.
I yeah, I'm gonna be the first one to admit it. I did
Yep.
not understand it. I still don't understand a lot of aspects of it. And I know for my own self, I need to do better in making sure that I have a tax accountant that's going to help me make sure that I know there's money on the table that I could get. Even now, I looked at my tax papers and I'm like, okay, I know I'm probably missing something. So I'm going to encourage everybody who's listening to this podcast to please don't be like me. Okay, please don't start guessing at your taxes. Okay, let's get somebody like Erica who's going to actually help you figure out what are you leaving on the table. And so when you did that and you started helping small businesses, tell me what your experience was.
Oh, it was like, okay, I did feel bad for some, because as if they left money on the table by not uh having any awareness about business tax deductions they could take. I also felt that they were being taken advantage of by so-called other tax professionals or tax preparers. I would probably say more so tax preparers because this is such a unregulated field, and there's so many people that just want to, collect tax prep fees, and they don't give you the best sound advice that you would want as a business owner and you need. Because if penalties and interest and taxes are imposed upon you, it's you who has to take care of that, not the tax preparer. So I pride myself on having the education and the experience to help my clients. So as I was noticing that they were struggling in this area and that they would always ask me to, can you write down the tax deductions that I could take for my business, or can you email me a list? I got tired of that because it was like this was like literally every person. So I figured I need to do something on a wider scale to help business owners. And what I did was I wrote a book. The book is called A Tax Deduction Guide for Small Businesses, and it is basically the top 20 tax deductions that most small business owners can take on their return as long as they keep good records and keep track of their expenses. I noticed that there's no book out there like mine. I wanted to make it totally different. I wanted to make it easy to read. I gave good examples, some funny stories because that's just my personality. So I think that was one of the advantages of taking this project on was I knew that I would immediately be able to help my clients in addition to business owners, entrepreneurs all over the U.S.
Okay, so where can we find your book? Because me personally, I am particularly interested to find out, have you incorporated like any other tools in there aside from the top deductions? Are there anything in there that kind of helps a small business keep track of their expenses? Because that's a hard thing, if you're like a solo entrepreneur, or you're someone who had maybe two people that's not really good, either one of them not good at math,
Right.
or
Yeah.
keeping track of their records. I mean, what advice would you really give them that will help them try to keep track of their expenses?
Right. Well, to answer your first question, no, the book is generally based off of tax deductions. It can be found on Amazon.com. It could be found on Barnes and Nobles and Kobo, to name a few of the online sites, and you can purchase it via paperback or an ebook, which I've noticed a lot of clients are starting to purchase ebooks because it's just easy for you. But I do plan on. I'm actually in the phase 1 of writing my second book. This one is geared more so to nonprofits, and it's kind of like an A to Z guide on how to start a nonprofit and things you should do to stay in compliance, from the bookkeeping to the tax preparation. So it'll definitely be helpful for nonprofits. But for the most part, when it comes to the bookkeeping, I always say if you're not able to get something as easy as QuickBooks Online, which is what I kind of always favor amongst the softwares, is QuickBooks Online. They have like a self-employed version, which is very cheap and is very effective as far as you being able to try to separate your expenses and keep track of your income. Everything is pretty much connected to your online bank accounts for your business credit cards, PayPal, Stripe, Square, all those systems, merchant service systems you use to collect your income. So I would definitely say that would be helpful. And if you can't do that or you kind of don't understand it, a simple spreadsheet is very easy. You can start with all of your income that you receive for the month, and then try to keep track of your expenses and what you paid out each month. And that way, you'll at least be able to get an idea if you had profit at the end of the month or you had a loss. So those are the two go-tos I would probably say: a QuickBooks Online or software similar where you could track your income and expenses online, or try a spreadsheet if you're not comfortable using a software. Spreadsheet is very simple and easy to create.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. And just so you know, I went on Amazon and I got your book just now. Okay,
Oh
I went on
wow!
there. I did. And I'm going to tell you guys who's listening, all you have to do is just type in Erica Booth, and her book is the
Yes.
only book that pops up. Okay, so it's
Yep.
that easy. And all you have to do is just put your mouse right on the Kindle, right? And just hit that and say one click purchase. It is that simple. Okay, it's that simple. I'm getting this book because I feel that anytime that someone puts out a tool that you can actually use that's going to make it better, that's why I kind of wrote my guides, Empower Thyself in the Career Transition, because it's a tool. It's not just another book where you could just sit back and read and say, okay, this is nice to know. It's actually a tool that you can use for your business or you can use for your personal life. And so if everybody's listening, I'm telling you, you need to go out there and just hit that button,
Hit that
okay, and
button.
buy this book, because as a small business owner, I could tell you how many times, I mean, and everybody can relate, how many times have you looked at the instructions and the tax for business taxes and was totally confused, with all of the different schedules and all of the different forms that you have to fill out to figure out if you get a tax deduction or you get whatever. Um, that's not easy to figure out. It's not easy to figure out, and you could easily get confused. You could easily get confused. So what's some of the wildest tax stories that you happen to have with small businesses? Because now that I bring this up, I mean, I'm interested to see, what kind of wild stories can you tell about small businesses who are looking for tax deductions?
Well, I wouldn't say I had two. I mean, okay, I probably had a few, but not too bad. I mean, everyone's kind of the same across the board. They'll come with a binder full of receipts, bags full of receipts. I would say that I've seen some Victoria's Secret receipts and some stuff I probably shouldn't have seen. And one person, I just said, I'm just going to stop going through this bag because I don't think any of this is business related. You were just an Uber driver. I don't understand why we had Bath and Body Works and Vicky in here and Kohl's. I don't think any of that had to do with you driving, Uber or Lyft. So I just put that to the side. I had one client who I think he was told, and this is another. That's why I say, you have to be careful about who you go to prepare your taxes, even if they are someone that's been doing it for a while. Ask questions, and I always say your Google is your friend. It's nothing wrong with Googling to get a little bit of information about something because 9 times out of 10, if you're Googling something about tax deductions, you'll be able to immediately go to an IRS publication that'll give you the straight from the horse's mouth facts on what it is you need to do to get that deduction. But this one client was told that entertainment expenses you could write off, which is true, but he wrote off movies. It was, who are you going with? Is this just you by yourself? How is that a business transaction? I mean, it was so much. I got on the client really bad. I did, but let me tell you, the very next year, the client cleaned it up and
Wow.
there was no more of that because it was excessive. And that was another reason why I always push. You need to have some form of bookkeeping. As a business, you're required to do it anyway, but you should want to see what you spend your money on. And for that client, I guess out of their revenue, their total revenue, gross revenue, they were probably spending about 15% on non-business items, and it was you every entertainment expense is not business, and I know that for a fact. And so I go over it with them because I'm going to err on the side of caution because I don't want any of my clients to receive a letter about being audited or having their taxes assessed and my name was on it. That's
Okay,
like my
so
biggest
let's
fear.
talk about the auditing process. I know that there's different reasons why the IRS will want to audit you, but let's talk about some of the reasons that will definitely for sure get you on the audit list. So what are some of the things that small businesses, in addition to the fact that they should not be trying to put non-business related expenses on there, what's some of the other things that businesses should not be doing that will cause them to get an audit?
Well, I would say a few things. Anything personal, I think, is going to always cause a red flag. I've seen past returns prepared by other tax preparers that they will put grooming expenses on, and I understand that sometimes, in your career, in your profession, that you have to look a certain way, but I think it could be a bit excessive. Cleaners, I've seen a lot of expenses on the cleaners, and I'm thinking, do you have a uniform that should be in the cleaners and is specific to the business? And no, I just take my clothes to the, like, your personal clothes to the cleaners. Yes, my personal clothes. No, that's not a tax deduction. So you have to be careful. One of the items that I see a lot of, now this is bigger than some of the tax deduction items that I've seen, the conversation about types of entities around S corps. Now, let me first talk about S corp. An S corp is an entity where you can be an LLC, but you can be taxed as a federal entity for tax purposes. And you could be a shareholder in that entity. You could be 100% shareholder. You don't have to have other people invest in your business. It could just be you. So, and a lot of S corps are like that. One of the things that I think kind of makes me fearful about others talking about this topic is that they don't understand that in order to be an S corp, where you're taxed at a federal level, is you have to be on payroll because you're like a corporation. You're no longer operating as like a sole proprietor or LLC, single member LLC. You're taxed as like a federal corporation, and you have to be on payroll. And your payroll, your salary has to be a reasonable salary compared to those in your industry. And the purpose of that is because you're kicking aside the self-employment tax as an LLC and a sole proprietor, and now you're going to pay payroll taxes. So that's another form of
Wow.
tax that you're going to have to pay. But a lot of people are told, oh, you should just be an S corp, so you don't have to pay self-employment tax, but you have to pay payroll taxes because you have to be on salary, and it has to be reasonable to your industry for someone running a business. And you have to run your business accordingly, similar to a corporation. So it's just so many different things that has to go into being that S corp entity. And I think everyone is just being told, well, you can be an S corp, but you need to start being on salary as soon as you start, and you elect to be an S corp. You don't want to start your salary mid-year because that's payroll taxes that you're avoiding to pay. So it's just so many intricacies with being an S corp, and I'd like to tell my clients, I want us to do some research and talk about it first before you just dive into it, because I don't want you to get a letter. I don't want you to be audited, because that's one of the first items that the IRS will look for is that salary.
Wow.
So
So I
it's
guess
I
I
and
hope
I
you guys are hearing this, because here's the thing, and this goes back to, I wanted to add another point to what you just said, is you have to be sure what entity that you're creating. It's more than just a tax implication. You're looking at the fact that not only do you have to have a salary, but if you're S corp, you have to have a board of directors. You're not always in
correct.
control. There's other people that you have to pay stock to, and so they have a piece of that organization. And then there's other finance and audit implications that you're going to have to consider to be an S corp, or you have to figure out if you want to be an LLC or a nonprofit. All of them have different tax levels. So that's really important factor that you brought up, Erica, is that we have to make sure that whatever business that you decide to be in, that you're in the proper tax and proper entity for that tax level.
Correct. And file the proper returns. I
Yeah.
do know of some clients that say I'm a partnership, and then they say, okay, well, which schedule do I file on my tax return for the partnership? And that's the first sign that they didn't know what they were doing when they wanted to set up that entity. And I always say, well, do you have a partnership agreement? No, what's that? That's a problem, because the first thing you want to establish when
Hmm.
setting up a partnership entity is the interest of each of the
Right.
partners.
Hmm.
And you have to have that on paper, and that's to save you in the long run. If that partnership dissolves, those
Hmm.
partnership agreements are your basically it's like your Bible. It's the end all of how to divide the assets and liabilities. So you definitely have to have that type of paperwork prepared when wanting to incorporate as a partnership. And I just know that I meet a lot of people that are excited and passionate about the business that they want to start, create, work in. And I totally get it, because I'm the same way. I can be in my office for 15 hours a day and still feel like I had a short day because I love what I do. But at the same time, you know, you can't say forever, well, I just didn't understand it, and then go about your business and operate your business. No, because you're going to have the IRS, the state, the city, any local counties on you because you didn't properly file business licenses, you didn't set up accounts correctly, you didn't pay estimated tax payments correctly, you didn't pay business license fees correctly. It's like you have to really know not only the business that you want to start, but the location in which you're going to be in, what type of tax returns have to be filed on each level. It's just a lot of pieces and components to it. And I think that it's nothing wrong with taking that time out and doing some research, but then, you know, acquiring assistance from a tax professional or an attorney that can help you start that entity the right way from the very beginning, because what you think may be a cost in the beginning will be even more costly in the end when you get caught up in things that you weren't compliant in.
Okay, so that leads into my next question. What is some of the ways that a small business person or or solopreneur can afford to pay for a tax preparer or a tax professional such as yourself?
Well, I would say, well, I number one think I have very reasonable fees compared to others. I try to stay on the average for fees. I work with my clients. I feel as though, they may not be able to acquire that monthly assistance that they would probably need in order to take care of the financials of their business. But we could do a consultation. We could sit down, we could talk, we could map things out, we could do tax planning, we can focus on budgeting. I can explain if you don't have the funds to pay me to take care of filing estimated tax payments and extensions and things, then we can have a consultation and I can guide you through the systems that you would use to do that on your own. So there's ways that we can always work around being able to work with the clients even if they're on a budget to kind of help them do the things right from the beginning.
Okay, fantastic. So, what are some of the other services aside from tax and accounting that your services provide? Are there any additional service that you have that you offer?
Absolutely. So, in addition to the tax preparation services for individuals and small businesses and nonprofits, we also provide bookkeeping services. So, that way you'll be able to really assess your income and your expenses throughout the year on a monthly or quarterly basis. We're very hands on with our clients when it comes to the bookkeeping. We also provide tax planning services so that clients have an understanding of what they need to do for estimated tax payments on a quarterly basis, which taxing authorities to make payments to, if it's federal, state, or local authority. We also provide budgeting assistance with budgeting, small business strategic planning. So where are you trying to go with your business? If you see that you want to expand your business, what type of entity do you feel you may want to choose, and the disadvantages and the advantages for those entities? Because some businesses really do well and they want to grow and they want to invest in another opportunity. And sometimes that involves setting up another entity, like a parent company or subsidiaries underneath of it. So we like to talk about that, the structure. That's a part of the strategic business planning that we offer. And of course, we always do our consultations, 1 hour consultations, where we can sit down and discuss anything that they need to talk about to assist them in the preparation or the running of their business.
Okay, and so where are you located, Erica? Are you in Philadelphia or another location?
So I always like to say yes and no. I am in like the southwest area of Philadelphia. We're actually in Lansdowne, but we're literally like 1 block off from Baltimore Avenue before it turns into Baltimore Pike. So
Mhm.
we're really truly in southwest. And we're, also in Delaware County. But we provide services or convenience of being able to work with our clients online, clients that aren't local. We can still provide similar services through just using online software to conference with clients and speak to them directly, and be able to assist them using um, tools online. So we just want to make sure we're available to anyone, even if they're not in the state or close by in the city.
Okay, fantastic. So, with all this great information about tax and your education, what advice would you give to career seekers who's looking to get into your line of work?
Ooh, well, I would definitely say take a step back, develop a business plan. I think that's very important so you can understand the type of projected estimates of expenses that you'll have starting up the business, ways that you would have to, grow the business, be it being a part of networking organizations or being vendors or exhibitors at events. I think that's important too because one of the things I thought when I first started was, oh, I'm a tax professional. I'm an accountant. First year, I'm going to have everyone come to me for taxes because they have to file their taxes. That first year, I had 12 people. I fooled myself. And one
Oh,
of the
wow.
pieces of advice that I received from someone was you have to network. And I'm thinking, well, what do I have to network for? I got business cards. I got a website. I'll talk to some people when I see them. Yeah, I am kind of like an extrovert introvert. So I'm very sociable, but I kind of like to be to myself. But I had to learn, yeah, no. When it's time to speak at events, I'll be the first one to volunteer to speak. I want people to know who I am, what I do, what services I offer. And I just think that's important to think of all of those items when you're ready to begin a career as an entrepreneur. You have to really plan, and you have to build the steps that you'll need to take to get
Hmm.
through every level um, as an entrepreneur, because there are many steps. I mean, if you want to run your business out of your home, do you want to run it out of a brick and mortar? Or are you going to run your business online? What are the tax implications of that? Do I have to file certain licenses? I need, certain, certifications. Like, it's so many different things that I think everyone should definitely do research first before, and also ask someone if you're interested in being a business owner and you know someone who has a similar business. Seek advice. I'm pretty sure you'll find out more information from someone who's been doing it for several years and can be a great mentor to you if you just ask. Because I know I get the question. I didn't really think people would ask me. I still don't think I'm where I want to be, because I just want to keep climbing higher. So I'm very humbled when I have others ask me about what I did to start my business. And I'm thinking, I don't feel like I did much, but to others wanting to get into the same position, that means everything for you to reach back and give them that information and be helpful and supportive. So, find a mentor, find someone that can give you that good advice, so that you don't have to spend too much money on things because you thought it was the new thing to use as far as software or equipment for your business. You could just be wasting money.
That's right.
You may need that real good advice from someone who's already been there, done that.
Right. And everybody who's listening to this podcast, you're going to hear this continuously where these folks are, including Erica, and she said it so eloquently that you have to plan. You have to plan your goal, whatever it is, whether you're starting a business or whether you're trying to go to college to pursue a specific industry. You have to know what you have to do, and you can only do that through planning and making sure that you ask questions. And that's another reason why this podcast exists, because these people are here to not only give you advice, but to help you on your way and also to network with these folks. So if you have a question about anything that she's talked about today, I really want you to reach out to her and make sure that you ask your question, just like she said. So, Erica, let me ask you this last question. What is
Yes.
it that Erica Booth Tax and Accounting Services need? Is there anything from the people who are listening to this podcast or even the people who are participating? What do you need to thrive?
Well, number one is, when I originally spoke on consultations, I always like to say that the first initial consultation is free. So I would say take advantage. If you're trying to figure out what you want to do, if you have just a set of questions, that'll help get you to the right place, or you just want to know what type of entity might be the best fit for you, or you want to know how you can make estimated tax payments, and what are the best ways to collect your income and expenses through bookkeeping methods, utilize our free consultations, because we'll be able to help you better if we can hear from you and know what your concern is. I find that sometimes when you're new at wanting to start a business or figure out your taxes, you kind of get, I don't want to say scared or fearful, or seem as if you should already know the answers. I never expect people to know about taxes or entity structures if that's not your background. I would never assume that you should know this. So no question is a dumb question. You can always come and call us and set up a consultation so you can just get a better understanding of what it is you need to do, because the purpose of this business is not only to, of course, take care of your accounting or tax needs, but we want to help you. We thrive on helping others understand what it is they need to do from the beginning, so that they don't come back to us later and say, I'm in such trouble. I should have done this, or I should have asked this question, and then they're in a bind. I don't want you to be in a bind. I want you to learn ways to prevent being in financial issues. I want you to be able to ask. And if there's something that I don't provide as a service, I'll have a resource for you where I can direct someone to help you. So, definitely feel free to call us. Go on the website, www.ericaboothtaxes.com, and you can inquire through our website about a consultation. You can just request one, and we'll get back to you. We like to get back to all of our potential clients within 24 hours. If it's the weekend, we'll make sure we get back to you by Monday morning. We're very persistent when it comes to communication and follow-up, so you will definitely hear back from us. But we welcome those questions, and we welcome the dialogue where we're able to assist you in what you're trying to do and make sure you're putting the best foot forward and giving you the best financial and tax advice. And again, as I said, if we aren't familiar with what you need in another area, we will always be able to send a resource over to you to help you with what you need.
That is totally fantastic. And again, she pretty much said it in a nutshell. Ask the questions and use the service. We all need to make sure that we follow through with not just asking the questions, but following through to use the service. And I want to, again, encourage people to please reach out to Erica if you would like to use any of her services or you would like to just connect with her. Please do so, and also take the time to listen to all of the podcasts that are on this segment this summer, because you just can't get this information anywhere else. And with that, Erica, I would like to thank you for your time to be on the podcast and teaching us all about the right way to think about taxes, and also to think about how we should be better at managing our taxes. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it. I enjoyed myself speaking with you.
I'm glad you did.